Hi everybody, Jillian here for Illustrated Faith's Print and Pray shop. I'm here to share with you a brand new Bible journaling process video using some new releases from the Print and Pray shop at illustratedfaith.com/shop. Today I'm going to use a couple sets from Shauna Klingerman, the Thrive printables, and also the Thrive card set. So I was really inspired by the colors of this card in particular and thought it would be fun to use some of the Illustrated Faith acrylic paints on my palette here to try and color match them a little bit. So I am going to be journaling in John 10:10. It was one of the scriptures referenced here on the printable. And then I've got some of Elaine Davis's Autumn Word Fetty pulled out over here because I've just been loving using that. So I'm going to go ahead and put you guys on fast forward and get started with my entry today. So first I want to start off mixing some paint colors. Like I said, I want to try and match the colors in that card. So I've got some light portrait pink from Liquitex on the palette there, and I've also got this coral color paint, and I'm going to add to that the orange and the white from the Illustrated Faith acrylic paint set to help me match the color on that card. So my brush is getting a little gloppy here. I'm going to go ahead and take some of the excess off with a baby wipe. And then I've got two different size brushes that I'm using today. I just picked these up. They're very inexpensive from a big box craft store. And I wanted to have two different types of like thickness or brush stroke thickness on the page. And that's why I decided to use these two. So I'm taking the light portrait pink and I want that to be like the main color on the page. And I'm just going to swipe that in a few different directions in a few places on the page. I do end up covering up the words a little bit. It doesn't bother me, but if it does you, then I would just suggest keeping it in the margins. I kind of was a mess here with the Bible mat. I'm used to using a smaller one and having to move it around all the time, and now I have a larger one and often forget that I can just keep it where it is and I don't have to worry about wiping it off. And I got a little bit of paint on the back side of this page, but it's no big deal. I do really love this color and get to use it on the reverse when I am ready to journal that part of the book of John. So the color was a bit darker than I wanted for this page, so I mixed in some of the white Illustrated Faith paint with the light portrait pink and then went over it with the same brush, and I really like how that turned out. While the paint is still wet here, mostly wet, I'm going to go in with some shorter brush strokes and use like this corally orange color over on top of that, and just put it down in a few places. I decided to tone that down a little bit. Instead of going over this with white paint like I would be inclined to, I decided to just add some white to the paint that was already on the palette and then go over those same places that I had painted with the lighter color. So I'm going to put that to the side and let it dry, and then go ahead and fussy cut some of the butterflies from Shauna's set here. And I really wanted to use this piece that said, "Note to self, less striving, more thriving." And it reminded me of this excellent book that I just read by Jenny Allen. It's called Nothing to Prove. I'm just going to read a bit from the book because it's just so good. She says, "Jesus Christ, God's Son, did for us what we could never do for ourselves. He measured up. He was the perfect sacrifice. He is the only one to have ever satisfied all God asks to be in relationship with Him. And instead of keeping that for Himself, He trades places with us. He trades His enoughness for our scarcity and lack. He took all of our sin and not enoughness and put them to death on the cross." She says, "We don't have to perform for a God who already adores us as His adopted children. I'm not saying that we turn apathetic and lazy, but I am saying we get to stop trying to impress God. God wants to be with us, and that reality pressed deep into us produces anything but apathy. Being wholly, relentlessly loved never makes someone apathetic, but it erases any need for earning gold stars." So I just definitely wanted to pull some of that out of the book, journal it here in the margin next to John 10:10, where Jesus says, "The thief comes only to steal, kill, and destroy. I come that they may have life and have it to the full." And other translations use the word in abundantly. Jesus came so that we might have life abundantly. And I love that and definitely wanted to journal that here. So I decided to back the little printable from Shauna. I thought about using one of the other blue cards from her set and decided not to. I had a scrap of patterned paper from the Faith Over Fear collection, new from Illustrated Faith, and thought that that would be good to bring a little more black into the page, and just created a small border around that printable piece. Then I got the butterflies arranged on the page where I wanted them, and I thought it would be really fun to put some foam adhesive underneath their wings. I think that even may be like a scrapbooking law, that if there's a butterfly on your page, you need to put some dimensional adhesive under the wings. And I told myself with this Bible, I wasn't going to use dimensional pieces. I wanted to keep things really flat so that I could have a bit longer in this Bible than I did my last one. But I am less than 10 entries in, and here we go with some dimensional foam adhesive. So I decided not to do that for these guys at the top. I'm going to go ahead and let them hang off the edge and act almost kind of like a tab at the top. And then I thought it would be really fun to add some black paint splatters to the page. So I've got a jar of water that I use exclusively for this technique, and I'm going to use some of the Shauna's Favorites Illustrated Faith watercolor set here, and just dip my brush in water, get it in the paint, and splatter it around the page. I'm using a really small brush, so the splatters are going to be really small and delicate, which I thought was perfect with the butterflies. You may also notice that I cut their antenna off when I fussy cut them, and that's just because I don't love cutting around super delicate pieces, and I am going to go back in and draw their antenna, don't worry. So I got the verse underlined. Thought it would be a pretty good idea to hit it with the heat tool so as not to smear those black paint splatters around the page. Then I'm going to go ahead with the Illustrated Faith journaling pen, draw those antennae, and then get some journaling lines down at the top here. And I just want to write this phrase that I pulled out from Jenny Allen's book that says, when we see ourselves the way God sees us, we don't have to strive. And I thought that just went so well with Shauna's little printable here. So there's a little bit of blank space here. I thought about putting another butterfly there. I also thought about maybe using the clear stamps from the Faith Over Fear collection and decided to use both. So I went ahead and cut out a teeny tiny itty bitty butterfly here from the Traveler's Notebook insert that comes with the Thrive card set. It has a bunch of smaller butterflies on that, and fussy cut that out, and I'm going to go ahead and get that down with the Illustrated Faith tape runner. And then I decided to, of course, draw the antenna on him, and then take the clear stamps and use this heart outline and put that in a few places on the page. Lastly, I'm going to go ahead and date stamp this entry, and I chose to use a little phrase remember with the date, and that's it. Here is a finished look at the page along with a couple of close-ups. Thank you for watching. The digital sets that I've used for today's entry are linked in the video description below if you're interested in checking them out. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you soon.